to show, full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, you gumpers.
Hola, bom dia, alegria, Manzon here with the Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. How are you today? Well, I hope. Tudo bem? Como estás? Do let me know in the chat, if you will. This morning, hump day, we've got Raquel joining us from Lighthouse Consulting at around 10, quarter past this morning. Astrid will be popping in because we've got a lovely Expats Portugal webinar. It's a Christmas quiz tomorrow. I think she'll be whetting our appetites about that when she joins us. And, of course, Nuno, our dear mate Nuno, on this International Migrants Day. Yes, it's International Migrants Day today. Do you feel in any way affected by that? The official position, if you like, with the UN working through their international agency, the Organization for Migration, their view on this, their kind of PR press release sort of information this morning is each year on December the 18th, which is, of course, the United Nations, through the UN-related agency, the IOM, uses International Migrants Day to highlight the contributions made by the roughly 272 million migrants who have moved in the world. What is that as a percentage of people? It's a lot of people, isn't it? 272 million people. I don't know how you possibly begin to look after the interests of such a group. But anyway, 272 million migrants, including more than 41 million who are internally displaced in their own countries, by the sound of it, who are migrating domestically rather than internationally. So an interesting, possibly poignant day with International Migrants Day. How do you see it? I am the descendant of migrants, personally, if I may dwell on that for a moment. Wherever I lived in the UK was never really felt like home. It wasn't where my ancestors were from in any way. I think my dad's of Irish extraction, descent. My mother from the Far East. I lived in London and now I live in Portugal. So I feel I feel like one of those migrants for sure. And the only chance this family, as it is now, stands, I suppose, of becoming settled somewhere, would be to be in Portugal for 2 or 3 generations. Is that what it takes to switch back from being a migrant and into a settled person? Nuno made a very interesting comment on the Portugal Club last evening. We're all migrants, aren't we? From another plane, I suppose. Spiritually speaking, we are born into this existence, which makes us spiritual migrants. So there are all sorts of ways of looking at this. You may well be a migrant having moved to Portugal, or thinking about migrating to Portugal. But where are your folks from? Where are your family from? What's your... Are we in a little kind of echo chamber here of people who very gladly and easily move and have done so for generations and generations? I know some of you have more carefully than others checked your family trees and found out how you got to be here. And then there's this whole conversation, isn't there, about the American homecoming to Europe as well, which Dave in Portugal, he was using it as a bit of a clickbait title for a recent YouTube. But he was suggesting that not only is this movement of Americans back to Portugal, Spain, etc., a recent and maybe geopolitical economic thing, it might be a more romantic thing than that. It might be a homecoming, a returning of the Europeans who left, a few hundred years ago, and now the great return to Europe. There's at least a lol from Mr. S, who I suspect will have something to say about this. It's kind of like International Day of Peace. It's important. and hardly anyone knows or cares about it. Yeah, well, as long as you're peaceful, you don't need to be caring about it, do you? And I suppose, arguably from another direction, if you're having your basic needs met according to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy, these things needn't bother us too much. But I am interested in what you have to say about it, what you think about it. I'll be asking Raquel and Nuno about it as well. They are our business folks, so they'll be talking about anything that's caught their interest within the Portuguese business world, politics, that sort of thing. They are our great Portuguese friends. If you've got any questions for them, do please pop them into the chat. They'll be with us soon. From a Portuguese angle, interestingly, on migration as well, I find this fascinating. And this is quite a dry website, as you would imagine, from the diplomatic portal, not the diplomatic Portugal, the diplomatic portal of the República Portuguesa. Portuguese communities, they say, around the world are one of the most important strategic assets of the Portuguese foreign policy. Nothing says you're a treasured citizen than being considered a strategic asset, right? And are the most significant display of a global Portugal. They are the gateway to Portugal in the globalized world. And at the same time, the world's point of entry into local and regional territories. There are more than 2 million Portuguese immigrants around the world today. And if we take into account the descendants of Portuguese immigrants, the emigrants with an E, the population with Portuguese origins in hosting countries will be around 5 million. And more than 40% that equates to of the population residing in the national territory. A diaspora, which is a fabulous word, isn't it, that reached the 5 continents, which confirms the idea of the global Portuguese community as a very important strategic international asset. Not only does Portuguese immigration remain a constant feature of our identity as it continues to shape our imaginary. I think that might be a translation error there, to shaping our imaginary. Let's go with shaping our society. But it also constitutes a valuable cultural, political, and economic heritage due to its size, diversity, and geographic spread, which we have a duty to value and preserve. In this regard, we assume also, in this perspective, the importance of focusing on the consolidation of the Portuguese language in the world. We're all hoping to do our bit with that, aren't we? More and more so, especially next year, seeking to value Portuguese as a language of inheritance and of attachment to the homeland. And we recognize the fundamental role played today by the Portuguese diaspora as a driver of economic growth in our country. So that's fascinating over there at Portal Diplomático of the República Portuguesa government website there, to give you an idea of how many Portuguese people live abroad. Bearing in mind that if there are 5 million of them abroad, of them, their families and descendants, that's amazing compared to the population of around 10.5 million here in the national territory. Interesting comments coming in, I'm sure, about that. Good morning to you, Pam. Oh, the Winsurance team are here all around us this morning. Sandra's here. Ruta is here as well. Boom, dear, from you. And yes, Sandra as well. Thanks, Ruta. Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, Nuno, who'll be joining us soon as well. Mr. S doesn't care too much, I think, possibly about being a migrant today. Bon dia, we are all the same 500,000 Homo sapiens that survived the second last ice age. Fact check. And some of us look like it, I suppose. Some on a bad day, and some of us again are from Neanderthal interbreeding. Speak for yourself. You can't explain all British ancestry like that, Solar Pete. Maybe the teeth, but that just Peter, I knew there would be a punchline coming there. I'm proud to be a migrant from a long line of migrants. Staying put when you have the opportunity to travel shows a lack of imagination. Thank you very much, Pam. Very much about the migration. Expats Portugal. Let's bring Astrid on now. Hola, bom dia. Tudo bem, Astrid?
Good morning, Carl. How are you?
Well, I'm here. I think I'm celebrating International Migrants Day, bringing attention to it anyway. It's no biggie for you. I mean, you and me both, right? Migrants of migrant stock, parents who moved around the world. It's just normal.
I was actually, I had dinner with Jerry last night, and Jerry from Expats Portugal, and yes, he was actually quite surprised to hear that not only for me, I was born in South Africa, but I'm Australian to a Latvian father whose parents were Danish and Latvian. My mother was born in Australia to German and Australian parents. So I
Ask
if it
it.
wasn't
You
for
make it any more,
migration,
could you make it any more complicated?
if it wasn't for migration, I wouldn't exist. So
That's
yeah,
incredible. What I mean, you've won so far, I think, with the
I
with
think so.
migration
But to
cards.
even make it more interesting is my brother, who's the same mix as me, married a Chinese lady. So he's got half Chinese kids with all that mix in it too. So it's like, yeah, you can't get more,
It's just
confused, really.
it's just the water we're swimming in, isn't it? That's incredible. And,
Yes.
and did you say your brother? I
Yes.
mean, yeah, really, he's doing his bit for the melting pot, isn't he? Incredible.
And then
Absolutely.
I married a Portuguese guy. My kids are half Portuguese and half a mix of what I am. So there we go. We keep doing it. The
And a
migration is
fascinating, well, an absolutely fascinating story to look at. And people do, I think, sometimes get to a certain age, don't they, and think to themselves, I want to know a bit more about all of this and all of these people who made me who I am today. Have you looked into it at all?
We did, and this was also being discussed last night at dinner. But on my dad's side, we have a family tree that goes back to the 1300s. So it's really, really interesting. Yeah.
So you've done some homework as a family on that. You see, I haven't, and I
Yes.
think there's adoption in the family as well, which can break the pattern up a bit and make it a little bit more difficult to look at. But very interesting, and of course, Expats Portugal is all about migrants, isn't it? People moving.
Yes.
Of course,
embracing them, welcoming them, and helping them with their transition to a life in Portugal. Yes.
Yep, absolutely. And tomorrow evening, last Dream Team, the last evening of the year, where we've been online every Thursday evening, sharing information with people, helping them to become migrants to Portugal. What have we got at 7:30? It's the big Christmas party, ain't it?
It's our Christmas party with our quiz, and Philomena is going to be running the show this year. So I think last year I did a presentation about the food that people ate here in Portugal over the Christmas season, but I think Philomena might be doing something similar. But it should be fun, just a relaxed kind of environment. Come along. If it's the right time zone, bring yourself a glass of wine, or mulled wine would be good for this time of season. Yeah. And just have some fun and meet some people.
How about that? Maybe even if it's not the right time zone, go on, be a devil and bring it. Or maybe that's just my Irish ancestry talking. And I imagine there'll be a festive mood in the Dream Team session at 9 as well, the last of the year, and that should be fun and always informative as well. If you've got a cultural question that you'd like me to put to the Dream Team panel, I will do that just before 10 o'clock. And it's always a tricky one because we've got so many questions to answer. It sometimes seems like I shouldn't be, asking frivolous questions, but I think they're also quite interesting, aren't they? As an insult from our largely Portuguese panel about living life here in Portugal.
Most definitely.
And then a year of diary dates of meetups. So plenty of opportunities to meeting up with people in the new year. Can you give us a sample of those venues one more time so that people can know how far they have to? Sure.
Well, the most pending one at the moment is Battaglia, which is happening on the 8th of February. So you can book for that one now on our site. So we're pretty much just booking the room at the hotel and the dinner, and we're taking the reservation on our site, and then we're just handing it over to the hotel. So we've negotiated a special rate there. So if you do want to stay in the hotel with us, they do have like 20 rooms or something which they're holding for us. So I think we're up to 13 bookings at the moment. So if you do want to come and stay in the hotel, definitely book as soon as possible. And we've got a tour of the monastery and a social meetup with that as well. And you'll be there, Carl, so people can meet you.
I will. I'm looking forward to it. May I bring my cassock? Is it bring your own cassock and you can dress up as a nun and wander about the monastery? Is it cosplay or is that a bit inappropriate?
If that tickles your fancy, Carl, you can do whatever you want.
I think a habit is quite a good way of tickling your fancy, but especially with all that horsehair going on. I'm looking forward to it. Fantastic. All right. Thanks a lot, Astrid. We shall see you. Well, I'll see you at lunchtime as well. You're popping
out.
I shall see you.
Get in my car and start driving your way now.
The Christmas lunch. Fantastic. I haven't had too many of these this year, but I'm looking forward to seeing you and Jerry at lunchtime. So I shall see you then. Safe travels.
See you in a few hours. Bye.
All right. Ciao. See you. Right, wonderful. And there's the link right there. If you do want to check out the itinerary of events for the coming year, a meetup with Immigrants Portugal, which is what we'd have to call them, Mr. S, you wokey old snowflake, still banging on about, I'm not an immigrant. I'm sorry, I'm not an expat, I'm an immigrant. Does anyone still care about that? Well, you do. And I don't mean to ride roughshod over your particular sensibilities around that. But maybe I'll put that to Astrid and Jerry, and they'll change the name of Expats Portugal to Immigrants Portugal. It really doesn't have the same ring to it, does it? For sure. I have French ancestors, but we never care for the French citizenship. Why not? What a lovely, rich scene to investigate if you wanted to. Let's not keep her waiting any longer. Let's find out about Raquel's ancestry if she wants to share it with us. I think she's still being supermum at home around breakfast time as well, organising the kids, the family, and joining us this morning from Lighthouse Consulting. Here she is. Hello,
Hi.
how are you doing? Happy International Migrants Day, Raquel.
Thank you, and happy holidays.
Yes, indeed. That's right. It's the last chance for us to talk to you this side of the festive period. How's it all going in your household, getting ready for Christmas?
Pretty much chaotic as usual. So I would say within normalcy. So
Yes, okay. Within the regular bandwidths of craziness.
Yeah. What's expected?
And your kids excited about it?
Yes. I mean, they're different ages, right?
Yes.
So, but funny enough, I think the 20-year-old is the most excited of them all because she's
the
really
magic is still there for the 20-year-old.
Yes, and she's always been like, from November onwards, she starts bullying me to start to do the Christmas decorations and stuff, and starts listening nonstop to Christmas music and stuff. So the other two, like the 2-year-old, nearly 3-year-old now, of course, understands a little bit more about what's Christmas and the lies that we tell them.
Well, how have you managed that? How have you managed? Because if you've got a youngster and an older kid, sometimes the older kids like to use that as a power thing, don't they?
But not in this case, because the 20-year-old knows what she's doing, and the 6-year-old, Santa is still a thing. And even in a few years when it's not, she's the most kind person to not say a word, to not spoil anything for the other one. So
that's lovely. Well,
pretty sure everything will go according to plan.
We all believe in politicians, so why shouldn't we keep believing in Santa Claus as well, right? It's a congruence. There's a congruence.
Weirder things. We believe in weirder things. So
yes. Right now, if I can put you on the spot for a moment, Lighthouse Consulting, you're helping us start our Good Morning Portugal company, of course, and we've had the running joke, haven't we? It only takes a day, 24 hours to start a company, but they're not necessarily all in one single day, unitary day. It's 24 total.
24 hours, but it can be spread out over a few months.
Yes. So I think we've got an administrative governmental blockage, have we, in these processes?
Yes. This is now, I mean, I joke and I try to make light of things, but it's really become a huge block for me, and specifically in my business, on the part of the business where I create companies, because it's very hard to explain that the public administration or the commercial registry simply doesn't respond in 2 months, or as it happened before, authorizes something and then the week after the process isn't there anymore, or we file a process and then it comes back because there's something missing, even though they had previously authorized stuff. It has to do a lot, of course, with the people that analyze the process. We're all different people. We all look at things differently. And what I've come to realize, I mean, the last month, it's never something that I want to do because I want to give people alternatives, and I want people to have their company with the name that they want. So, I mean, Good Morning Portugal, right? It would be a shame not to have a company named Good Morning Portugal. There are instances where people don't really mind the name, but there are instances where people do mind. But in those cases, they are making it, as you can see, nearly impossible for someone to request a name that they want to. So they're channeling all their authorizations for that pre-authorized names list, which is horrendous. But I've been like the past this month, I've been able, the 3 companies that I managed to close, so to create, were simply on the basis of names out of that fantasy list.
Yeah, I think we've made it a bit difficult for ourselves, haven't we, wanting to go with Good Morning Portugal? But it'll be worth it in the long run.
I think so. In your case, no doubt. There are cases where it's completely irrelevant, and in those cases, it's fine. And I've had 2 clients of mine, one a year ago, and then I have a couple of clients of mine that are performers. There are like circus performers, like crazy, awesome
really?
people.
Yeah.
And they made it a point to like choose not the most awful name, but they're exotic, and so they're okay with actually choosing a freakish exotic name. So it
Yes.
worked out really well, and in 2 days the company's set up. So it's a huge difference, but it's not for everybody. And there are people also with unipessoais with their own name. I
Yes.
mean, it's their own name. We want their name. So but it's taking a lot of time, even so. So it's kind of tricky, and it's very difficult because it's strikes. It's the start of Christmas holidays. It's a lot to fight against at this time.
Fair enough. A bad week to give up sniffing glue, as I think they said in the
Oh, they always are. I've never seen one good week.
Well, we should go into the new year. It might turn out to be a late Christmas present, mightn't it? But coming back to migration, it's this sort of thing that matters, isn't it? It's like maybe in 2 generations' time, when I'm sort of great granddad Carl, who started the Good Morning Portugal company in Portugal. That's legendary stuff, isn't it? Which is very different to being the vibrating pink toothbrush company, which is one of those random names that gets generated, isn't it?
I mean, you can register a brand, of course, and that's always what I say. There's another clients of mine, a couple in particular, that want a particular brand, and we tried for 3 times to register that name in the commercial registry. And by the 4th time that they wanted to try, I said, let's forget it. Let's just let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
That's
because
very timely. Yes.
It's just not going to happen. So let's just register the company name, whatever. And then let's register a brand to the company. And let's see if in terms of brand, the name is accepted, because it's different people authorizing, right?
Yeah.
So let's do that. So you have to give people alternatives, but for some people it is very important to have a proper name, as it was in my case. So I completely understand. In other cases, if people are in a rush, there is no other way than to choose one of those names, and then later on either change the name. Of course, you're going to have more cost in the registry, or just register a brand that you like, a brand name, to your company. There's always alternatives. Is always what I want to say. There's always alternatives.
Well,
there's the long road, the fast road, and whatever.
That is the great Portuguese ability to improvise and find a way. There it is. I wonder if you could type that word into the chat for us, because not only is it hard to spell, it's also hard to say. But this is a thing, isn't it? It's talking of migrants. This is in the Portuguese DNA, isn't it? A way of finding a way through, or round, over, under, transcend, whatever, to find a way through with your knife and your cable ties and your WD-40, and you get through any situation in Portuguese life. This is something that migrants can learn from the Portuguese. Is there anything else you want to share with us from the world of business formation and consulting, please, this morning?
Well, good news, because probably next year we'll have a lower tax rate in terms of corporate income tax, which is very nice to have.
Okay.
So things are looking much better from the point of view of companies. Also, some relief in terms of IRS, of course, independently of people having companies or not. But I think they're now getting into the spirit, as is, because of the United States elections and such, that we are progressing more away, let's say, of the socialist thought, and more into the economicist route, I would say. So they're more concerned now with the economical and financial conditions to advance. And
Yes.
it's easy for us to say that because the social aspect of it is relatively done, right? I mean, hospitals, healthcare, education, all of that. We have all of that, whereas in the United States they don't.
Yes.
So I think it's good. I think it's a focus that right now we have the conditions to start looking at
Very
it
good.
properly.
And there's a kind of poetic irony in a way, isn't there? It's like, migrants from America think, oh, so I'm moving to a socialist country where so many of the things we struggle with are taken care of. And as we're moving to the socialist country, it's becoming more center-right, enterprise-based. But these are all the twos and fro's of political life, aren't they? And I think balance is the important thing, isn't it? And that's what Portugal's trying to find, isn't it? Is a bit of balance.
It's two completely different realities. We are an ancient country, and we've had a strong, decades of an autocratic regime. So these two particular circumstances make us really difficult sometimes to have similarities with other countries in a lot of things.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I've realized, and I think you mentioned, Carl, this with that blogger that you mentioned yesterday about the Constitution of Portugal, and how we are ready, how we are really, I mean, we were the first ones to extinguish the death penalty in the world.
Yes.
We were one of the first countries to extinguish that. So alongside of our ancient philosophy or age, let's say, there comes a lot of wisdom, which probably newer countries haven't had the time to process all that.
Yes.
So when US people look at the Portuguese Constitution, it blows their minds, because it's nearly the complete opposite of what now they are trying to do in the United States, because there is a clause that cannot be changed regarding the liberties of people, the freedom, the rights to religious freedom, to freedom, to the right to vote, the equality between men and women, all of that. Those are fundamental, the rights of children, fundamental rights that are sort of getting attacked in the United States. For instance, I don't want to bash United States, but the rights of women, the rights of having access to health, to have good conditions of living, all of that, these are immutable rights in Portugal. And this is, I mean, I could not be more proud.
And I've never heard, until yesterday, I'd never really heard anybody banging on about the Portuguese Constitution.
I studied it because, law school.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
but we kind of take it for granted. We really do. Well, another one of those things that the Portuguese take for granted, alongside of every good thing that we have in this country, is this great constitution that is the basis of the most utopian country, I think, in the world, at least in theory, of course. Then in practice, there's people, and when there's people, there's mistakes and all of that. But it's such a great document, that it
is interesting, because I thank Nancy Whiteman, who I subscribe to her Substack, and this was of particular interest, the distinctive traits of the Portuguese constitutionalism, which I think is a translation. That's why it sounds so long and sort of technical there. But the point being made is that there is the longest unamendable, it is amenable,
that can be changed,
unamendable clause in the world. Thus ensuring that these rights cannot be removed that are enshrined in the Portuguese Constitution,
regardless of who is in power at a given time.
Isn't that great? And that's, you want a bulletproof, and it's a rather sobering choice of words, but you want a bulletproof constitution that just can't be changed with the comings and goings of particular administrations. And there's an entrenchment or eternity clause which prevents a court from making a ruling that changes it. So that's embedded, it's baked in to the Portuguese constitution. Isn't that fantastic?
And that's why I think we a lot of times speak Portuguese are softer people, are, even when there's manifestations, and there's no riots ever, but that's something that we don't do. But even when there's manifestations or whatever, it's always really calm. It's always softer. It's like the vaccine mandates and the masks and whatever. We are a generally complying people,
Yes.
because there's a sense of security and safeness that we have, that no matter what happens, we're good, because
Yes.
no one is going to suddenly wake up and be completely autocratic again and decide that we all have to do whatever. So I think that single simple document, which is not extensive, it's not extensive, is a quite simple document, but it permeates throughout the society, and we don't even realize, but it permeates as a social contract of all society in Portugal. And I think that's very much ingrained in us, especially after the 50 something years of a totalitarian regime. So we hold on to that as for our dear lives.
I'm enjoying the points you're making about that calmness and being able to take that for granted in a way, with that as a backdrop or an environment or a context from which you operate. Yes, there is compliance, but that doesn't stop Portuguese people being not being disagreeable, but disagreeing or having
Of course,
yes,
freedom of speech is
yes,
one of
absolutely.
the protected freedoms.
Yeah, it's great. And it's like, in a way, it's like, if you want to know how to do revolutions, here's one. Carnation Revolution. If you want to know how to do constitutions, here's one. Here's one we made earlier. Very, very modest, very calm, but for some, I don't know what the third is of those. This is how we do revolutions. This is how we do constitutions. This is how we do picnics. The third one will be picnics, wouldn't it? Because we have an example to the rest of the world on how to do a picnic. If you see the picnic areas of a Portuguese Sunday, that is our other gift.
I didn't even know that wasn't a thing in other countries. See,
try having a picnic somewhere else, and you'll still understand the beauty of the Portuguese picnic. Right?
We take that so much for granted that we don't even realize that that's not normal.
Another thing you take for granted, that there are 3 generations there. There are tablecloths, there are candelabras, there's hot food, there's cold food, there's a range of drinks. It's an excellently well-stocked bar. You don't get that anywhere else in the world, Raquel. Right, people are not moving away from socialism due to the US. They are doing so because they're moving closer to poverty and want a way out, any way out, and the far right promises that. Well, interesting comment there, Fee. Good to see when somebody who doesn't normally contribute is moved to do so. Thank you for your comment this morning. And in the world of Putin and Trump, it's refreshing that in Portugal, the community comes first. Another thing which I suspect we can take for granted. But taking for granted can be a little bit lazy and complacent, can't it? We need to make sure we absolutely uphold and treasure these things. So I implore, and actually foreigners, interestingly, Raquel, notice these things and do want to talk about them more sometimes than the indigenous natives, if you like, don't they? That I've noticed, which is interesting. But we must bring Nuno into this conversation because I'm sure he'll have something to say. I've kept him waiting. I'm a little late welcoming him to the show as we got carried away there. Let's give him a nice round of applause. He's very smartly dressed this morning, and here he is.
Hello.
Of Insurance. Good morning to you, Nuno. Very
good morning. Good morning.
High on this morning. What's going on? What's happening?
I have 2 events today, so I don't remember the last time that I used a tie, honestly. Maybe 2 years ago. Right. But actually, I think that with this tie, I'm tuned with Raquel's lipstick color.
It's very well coordinated. Did you guys organize this before time?
I have one more.
Oh, look. Right. Okay. You've got to get something else now. Oh, my goodness, Raquel. You've really done us proud this morning. I've got nothing. But Nuno has at least got a red festive tie. Is it so long that you had to think twice about how to tie it, Nuno? Or is that just hardwired in you?
Oh, no. It's automatically. It's like running a bicycle. The same.
Very good. Excellent. Okay. And in the Portugal, we love to talk about, as we have been this morning, culture, business. Raquel's been fantastic talking about the Constitution there. In the business circles, is the tie still an important thing in the higher echelons of Portuguese business?
At all. As I said, I think that the last time that I used on a business context, it was like 2 years ago.
Right.
So.
The top look at the moment, it seems, in Portuguese business world, and Raquel, that's a world I think which you've come from and probably go into from time to time, but not so much immersed in it anymore. But the standard look is that slightly bright blue. It's a dark blue, but it's got some nice highlights in it. The material, it's quite tightly tailored, even a little bit off the ankle sometimes. No tie, just a nice, clean, crisp shirt, the blue suit, some dark shoes. It's a good look, I think. If somebody wants to make an impression in the business world in Portugal, is that how they might look, Nuno?
Yeah, it's the usual way. It's the I call the casual chic.
Casual chic.
Yeah.
Right. And the lady's perspective on this, Raquel, do you like to see a gentleman in a suit?
I mean, I got tired of it, right? After 20 years of watching penguins all day, like I call them.
Right, okay. All right.
But it was a full, it was tie, and it wasn't like casual chic, as Nuno is saying. It was like the real uptight thing.
Yeah.
So, what I'm finding, and it's very funny, is that the more successful and the more sophisticated the business people are, the less formal they are. And that is like a slap in the face of everybody that I've known for 20 years. Is like, man, you know nothing about what's going on, because the richer the person, the worse they dress.
I was talking to somebody about this. It's like in the hotel, the billionaire is probably the guy who's shuffling through reception in his spa dressing gown and like his wife's spa slippers. These are just the things he could find. He's gone down to breakfast in his spa dressing gown. You're thinking, what a mess. But he's probably the richest bloke in there. Doesn't care.
The brands nowadays, the cheapest pieces are the ones that have the brand names really loud, big, because the people want to buy and show off that they can buy those things.
Yes. Yeah.
For the richer people, those brands have nearly the brand nearly doesn't appear. I mean, it may be in a soft, very discreet spot, but the everything is really nice. The textile is all really nice, but it's very, very on the down low, let's say. Okay.
Yes.
And that's where you spot, a black t-shirt, jeans, tennis shoes. That's where you spot the people with money, is when they're really casual. I mean, not underdressed, but casual. And then you see like some kind of detail that says, whoa, that watch is like 10,000 euros or something like that, or that shirt is like 200 euros. So
yeah, they're very interesting. Yeah, and they're probably like, if you want to use me as a billboard, which is what seems to be happening with modern fashion, you buy the thing and they're not cheap, but you actually become a billboard, don't you, for the person or the company who made
free marketing.
That's right. So probably a wealthy person like, well, if you want to make me a billboard, you're going to have to pay me to wear it, not me pay you to wear it.
Precisely.
Right. Wasn't expecting to have that conversation, but very interesting cultural insight. Thank you very much. Before we talk more about migration, because I'm sure you'll both have something to say about that. Nuno, anything to report from the world of insurance? I see that Portugal's hospitality towards foreigners is having a bit more of a check and balance. I think foreigners have been abusing the system here, so there are some changes afoot, are there, to stop people coming over and using the healthcare system at the expense of the Portuguese.
Yes, so we know in this moment that there are international networks that their role is how to take advantages.
Oh, is it formal? These people are organizing this, are they?
Yes.
Oh, exactly. My word, I didn't realize that.
For example, in Portugal, we have plenty of histories, people coming from Pakistan and Nepal and all of there that come to take birth in Portugal only for that.
Right.
So this is it's not crime because it's allowed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But yet they are taking advantage of the system. So and the ones who are living here are the ones who needs to pay the system because it costs money. And the reality is that it's being more costly every year or every month.
Right.
So they really need to take care of this.
Yeah. On a romantic sort of level, it's like, oh, Portugal is so kind and lovely to people. Come and have a baby, but there is a cost. There is a cost, isn't there? And the health system is really under pressure. So it's no wonder that
it is
people
under pressure.
Yes,
under pressure.
Indeed.
It's the health tourism now.
That's what it's called, isn't it?
That's exactly that, Raquel.
Does it sound then that there are companies that organize it on your behalf? It's actually a formal and organized business to bring people to different parts of the world to have expensive procedures where it's free.
Right.
Of course, because otherwise, how would someone in Pakistan know?
So naive. I'm so naive, aren't I? Okay. Right. They're very temporary migrants, and you can't blame people on an individual basis, can you? If you were in that situation, you'd probably do the same. But it's something that has to be figured out. Bom dia todos from Squire of the Shires. I noticed that all the cool kids are speaking Portuguese, so we all have to raise our game. There's even some swearing going on in the background there. I think I noticed.
What's happening today?
I don't know. These are the naughty boys, the cool kids. These are the same ones.
Christmas spirit, everyone, chill.
These are the ones who used to smoke at school, aren't they? They're now using coarse Portuguese, vulgar language in the background there. So come on, behave yourselves. And
chila.
But it's also a good way to learn Portuguese, I suspect, as well. Is that Fee in Alcobaça? I've seen expats in groups talking about it as well. So, oh yeah, that's a good place. Don't do that too early in the morning; it can ruin your day. How to take the best advantage of the visas and then move. Okay, so this is definitely a thing as well. It's not just about health. Anything else about health? Oh yeah, there we go. Premiums are going up in the new year. This is news as well, isn't it, Nuno?
Yeah, probably. And it's not only MJN, it's from all the insurers
across the board.
And we can think somehow if the insurers are taking advantage of these. And first, the main role of a company is usually, as a business, is making profit. And all the insurers, the exception is MJN. Yes, they need to make profit, and we need to understand this. MJN, they are a mutual, so they have zero profit every single year. And all the money that they receive from insurance premiums is to pay the structure and claims point.
Yeah.
Also, if we look to the public system, we see the rise of the cost with medication, with the doctors. So the system itself, or the healthcare itself, is being more and more costly. And when we start thinking on the oncologic treatments and the robotics usage, so there is no way of surpassing this.
Right, and so if you're already underwritten, if you already have a policy, you can expect that to go up in the new year. If, however, if you're not covered, there is time to do that before those rises come. Is that right, Nuno?
Yeah, we don't have much time because we have a two final year crazy weeks with basically we are going to have 2 or 3 days on each week to work, and a lot of people are on vacations, so all the subjects will stay waiting for January.
Yeah.
So I think that we should have maybe 3 days, counting from now, 3-4 days.
Right.
And this takes time also. So if you are planning on and thinking on your health insurance policy,
yes,
please call us right away.
There you go. The team, it's like the team are standing by already. We've got Ruta Neto there over at Winsurance, and Sandra's in this morning. Give them a call if you want to take advantage of that 3-day window. Really, is that what we're looking at? Basically, is 3 days until Christmas in terms of working days.
Yeah, because if we do on this time frame, we can assure the yearly cost, the 2024 yearly cost.
Yeah.
Even though if you can pay on a monthly basis,
yes,
instead of the new rates, the 2025 rates.
Thank you very much, Nuno. Anything else from health insurance or your world that you want to share with us?
Oh no, I have nothing special, honestly.
Okay, all right,
Take
all right.
care. Take care. Enjoy the weather because the weather will be shining these next
Really?
14 days. Yeah, the following 2 weeks,
Oh, that's
in
good.
the
'Cause it's been
majority of the
cold.
country.
Yeah,
Yeah,
found it
yeah,
very
chilly.
cold and damp in the last couple of weeks, so that's nice to know. Nice. That's what we want. You see, when you're British, you need to be able to go to the beach on Christmas Day and send a picture home just to wind everybody up. So that's going to be possible this year, by the sound of it. Good. Okay. Excellent.
Probably. Well,
Right.
in Portugal, on some locations, there is a tradition that is on the first day of the year, January
Yeah.
1st,
Yeah.
people go to the beach to take the first sea bath of the year.
Whether they need it or not. Yeah. And I was reminded that I was in the water on the 2nd of January of this year because it's my daughter's birthday. I think we went swimming. So maybe I'll be doing that.
Ah,
I won't say that too loud just in case I have to do it again this year. Or next year, that is. Okay, well, I shall get my mankini ready for that Christmas Day beach shot. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Sorry if I put you off your breakfast. Right, this International Migrants Day, Raquel and Nuno, always a very interesting day, I think, from a Portuguese perspective. But what do you make of it? Does it mean anything to you, Raquel, to hear that it's International Migrants Day?
As the Portuguese, we have such a history of
Right.
migrations out, outside and in. So in the previous centuries, we are such a melting pot of different people and DNAs that it's like it's crazy. And if you want to see all the influences of people so far away from us, like China, and it was the Portuguese that went there, mind you. Okay, so that much away from us, but then the influences are still here. Like Sha, the word Sha is the word Sha in Chinese, but in English it's tea. So in
Yeah.
Portuguese, the originality of the word was Portuguese, and then they used it, and then the British took that word from China. The Moorisk types of buildings that we have, the North African influences that we have, the Arabian influences that we have. So that from a point of view of incoming migration, of course. But then throughout the 50s, 60s, 70s, we've had a huge migration off the country because the country was really poor at the time. And
Yep.
so everybody wanted to find better financial conditions. And so families went away, which you can see now, like in August or at Christmas time, all coming over to the villages. And so all the
Yes.
villages get huge, get all the people here. So we are quite used to the numbers being very high in terms of people that are leaving and people that are coming over. And now we have another class of people leaving, which is the students, unfortunately, that are set on studying abroad and having a
Oh, is that starting earlier then? So where they might have
yeah.
gone abroad to work, they're actually going abroad to study now.
Yes.
Right.
So
Okay.
at college, either through a year, like they do a master's in some other country, like they do the first part of the course here in Portugal and then the master's in another country, or Erasmus, so 1 year off in some other
Yes.
country, or even postgraduate studies in somewhere else. Yes.
Very interesting. And yeah, on your points, or one of them made there, and I shared this earlier on. I think it's amazing that the Portuguese, 2 million living abroad, but with all their descendants, that's a diaspora of 5 million, which is 40% of the national territory population that we are moving among here. It's quite incredible across 5 continents as well. What would you add to that, Nuno?
By the way, remember, because I know that you know this, Carl, that the second city with the more Portuguese people living is
Paris.
Paris in France. So
The second biggest Portuguese city is not Porto, it's
yeah,
Paris. Which
exactly.
is also incredible. And again, it's part of this quietness of the Portuguese, isn't it? We talked about the revolution, we talked about the constitution, but the diaspora is kind of quiet and modest as well, isn't it? Your government is referring to it as a strategic international asset. Do you think that's used to its maximum capability? I don't get a sense of that at all. That Portuguese people around the rest of the world aren't very noisy or obvious. There are clearly a lot of them, and I don't think they are being used as a strategic international asset at all, are they? Would you say, Nuno?
We are not very noisy, it's true, compared with the Spanish people. And once again, I'm half Portuguese, half Spanish, so I know what I'm talking about.
41 starts, yes.
But what internationally it seems that is happening is that from the other countries are looking to the Portuguese as the diplomats persons. So we have Portuguese on high positions of globally organizations like Barroso, Antonio Costa, and so on.
António Terres.
Yes.
So this is because, yes, we do a lot of bad things. It's true. But I think that when compared with Spanish, with British, with whatever, and this is related also with what Raquel said, that we were the first one abolish slavery, the death penalty.
Yeah.
So people, I think that the international, they look to the Portuguese as these guys that
are safe. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? And it's also a relief to get rid of some of those people to the other parts of the world, isn't it? Politically,
and also we are so little country that we cannot damage no one. So let
very
these guys do their stuff.
Yes, I hadn't seen it quite that way. That's why I love talking to you, because I always get to learn something, and that calmness is embodied in, even though some of those politicians aren't maybe not so popular here after how their performance domestically. They are a calm presence elsewhere, aren't they? They are exported and put into, given that in many ways, my experience of Portuguese culture, the first thing is calma. Take a breath. Right? That's not bad on the international stage, is it? That's right. The British are like, what? The Portuguese are like calma, which is great. And then the other word that we had as well. If you bring it a desenrascar into the political world as well, that's got to be good, isn't it? That's got to be good. There, right? We've only got a few minutes left. Fee is telling us, I did Erasmus in Estonia. What a wonderful thing to do. It's a great opportunity for young people. Opened my eyes to many things, and I came back with lots of ideas and a better perspective on what's good, not so good in Portugal. Isn't that fantastic? And thank goodness you're here. I'm assuming you're here, Fee. In 2013, Portuguese were 16% of the total population in Luxembourg.
Slowly but surely, we're conquering.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there. It's really kind of quiet this time. Hit that like button, folks. Antonio. Yeah, can we have those stats again this time next year, Antonio? We'll keep an eye on this situation as it unfolds. There is an opportunity for Portugal to attract more foreign students as the exchange rate with the euro becomes more favourable as well. Thank you for that, Pete, and all your other comments this morning. So let me take this opportunity to thank you both. I've really enjoyed this particular combo. And we call this the kind of business show, don't we? Where we get to talk to you, Raquel and Nuno, on this hump day on, I don't know what it is, the third Wednesday of the month. And I hope we can continue to do it next year. What are your, so thank you very much. Muito obrigado. Thank you so much for your continued service to this community. What are your hopes for the new year, Raquel? And not just business wise, but you personally, what, and how can we help? How's 2025 looking for you?
2025 for me is a year of balance and a year of insight. So after, a career of 20 years in the corporate business world, crazy business world, and after 2.5 years of also crazy time building a business, I think it's now time. Yesterday, my beautiful social media manager came up with a phrase. I put it in a story. I don't think I remember it, but it's something like, slowing down doesn't mean that you're falling behind. And
right.
So this year for me is about balance, enjoying, and being rich in the sense of having time to myself, time to my kids, for my family, time to enjoy life. and have a more balanced life. For me, that's 2025. And I sincerely hope that that's the case for everyone out there, because I see so many stressed people that I think we really lack balance in that sense. We're all crazy, in the rat race. We're all busy going to the jobs. And if you then take a look at the earth, from a cosmic point of view, we are such like inexistent points, grains of sand, that if you put it all in perspective, calma.
What a lovely message. What a lovely message. And not only that for yourself, but you're wishing that for other people. So thank you.
Yes, for sure.
And yeah, you're right. To take the transcendent perspective, a bigger view. And if you're falling behind, it's a bit like the hare and the tortoise, I suppose. It's that story, isn't it? Or what immediately came to mind is lemmings. Those creatures that run ahead and jump off a cliff. It's like, it's probably good to be the slowest lemming, isn't it? Because eventually you think, what are they doing at the front there?
Yeah.
Not for me, thank you very much.
Is that a good thing that they're doing there?
Turn around. Right, we're going back. Thanks, Raquel. That's absolutely beautiful. What about for you, Nuno?
Oh, totally excited, because as you know, I had some goals, like embrace voluntary work, and put start something much more than business. And I don't know why, and we have talked about this many times, that I'm not money driven. I don't know why, but I'm not. I need, as everyone, I'm not naive, but I'm not. It doesn't make me smile or dream. So I had an objective of put in March in 2000, on the second semester of 2025, something with ideas related with volunteer stuff, social responsibility. And actually, we anticipate this in 7 or 8 months, because already started 2 weeks ago. So this is something that we will talk afterwards.
Yeah, so wonderful. Excellent news.
It's ongoing. And my main goal in reinsurance, because I have goals on every December, I share with the team the goals of the next year.
Yes.
And my goal to the next year is to, because we reach this position, is to start contributing to their dreams happen.
This is for your team,
yes, for my team.
How lovely. Their personal development. And what a lovely place to work it must be at Insurance. How lovely. It's almost like an ongoing Christmas gift for the rest of 2025. So how about that as a business priority? Nuno, thank you so much for that as well. Yeah, looking forward to talking to you about the project. How would you characterize it? Like sort of giving back, or what is, or mentorship? What is the overwhelming feature of that?
Okay, sharp and clear.
Yeah.
I'm 53. I will be here for as much more 40 years or 30 years. So let's make things happen to the others that are here.
Woo! Okay, enabling and supporting other people to have their dreams happen in Portugal. How wonderful. And that completely chimes with your business goals as well for next year. Love it. 2025, the year of that. Thank you very much, Nuno. So, abraços, beijinhos, boas festas, Feliz Natal, my dear friends here on the screen. And I'll see you again next year. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right, right, Nuno first, and then ladies last when we're leaving the screen. How fantastic is that? What a lovely, fantastic last show. For the time being anyway, with those two, with Raquel from Lighthouse Consulting, of course, if you want help starting your business, and Nuno, if you need anything, you can find him in the Expats Portugal Business Directory. Boas festas from Fee as well. Really enjoy talking to you, Fee, such as it is, through the chat here. I'm back, yes, but it's not easy for young people now, and for everyone, I suppose. I earn a normal salary. I can't imagine. That's the minimum wage here, isn't it? Can't imagine how people are surviving with minimum wage. Actually, that's a bit more, isn't it, than the minimum wage there? But normal salary, you say, and the whole idea of buying a house. So hopefully those affordable housing plans will come together. I'm a translator. Send the details. Fee, we'll be more than happy to help. You did a fantastic job this morning. Clearly, your skills are there on the screen to be seen. Translator and subtitler. Please send me a message or drop me a line on WhatsApp. 91. You can see the number on the screen, 913-590-303. Very quickly, I need to do the God Squad tip of the day and unveil. Let me put the advent calendar such as it is on the screen so that you can see that, and then we'll open another window. Today, a naughty one. Thank goodness my guests are being spared their blushes. A naughty one this morning. This is where we got to so far. Oh no, I can't. I've already done it. So I'll leave you with up to day 16. And we are, of course, the 18th today, International Migrants Day, and we'll pop that onto the screen there, and then we'll unveil the next one in just a moment. Coach Turner, bon dia campus, e feliz carta. Off to buy food for the weekend extravaganza. Yes, we still need to learn about your coaching tips for family harmony at Christmas, Coach Turner, hosting 22 of your family. I may need a big trolley. I'm going to need a bigger trolley. Also, I seem to have upset some Americans by suggesting that guns should be banned. I'm thankful that we're coming to the end of the show and that can of worms can be casually opened and just left there. I did say to you, though, I mean, there's an Olympic shooting sport, isn't there? And it was quite cool, wasn't it? That guy who was one of the Olympic shooters. They'll be after you. They won't be happy about that. And how will the government control people without guns if you ban them, Coach Turner? Anyway, God Squad tip of the day. Number 3 of the habits of the healthiest people is walking. They generally walk an average of 6,000 steps a day, though some do just a couple of 15-minute brisk walks. This is beginning to sound very familiar. We've had strength and now stamina and speed. The common thread is, again, consistency. You don't have to go mad, but if you do, it helps. No, that's if you work here, isn't it? If you don't have to go mad, just do a little regularly. Interestingly, the next 2 habits are more mental than physical. So we'll look at those tomorrow. Marvelous. We've got a couple more days, of course, to go. And I think we will do our last show on Christmas Eve. And we will have a Christmas Day special. We will do a little bit of a live stream on Christmas Day. Christmas, not from a horse, Christmas Day. From a very special location. Looking forward to that. So if I move that out of the way, you'll be able to see the advent calendar such as it is so far, and an absolute classic Christmas meme for you today as I scroll down. Yes, a rather disgruntled Santa who I hope has had a motivational pep talk since yesterday. And look, be careful when you're using Let It Snow wrapping paper. Be careful where you put that crease, as they used to say in the world of magazines. Take care. Have a great day. I'm off to a Christmas lunch at the Storytellers. Might see you there if you're in this part of the world. Otherwise, I shall see you tomorrow morning. Oh, a very quick sharing here of Joao de Nort's. I'll tell you what, this is what happens, folks. If you start a new interest as a migrant on International Migrants Day, you go elsewhere and you pick up on that skill you've always wanted to try, or you find a new one that you never knew you wanted to do. Here's John's work from his watercolor class. And I think he's a newbie with this. Isn't that fabulous? I love the stylization of that and the festive message of that. Certainly in the UK, we have robins at Christmas. That is an absolutely beautiful piece of work. So I shall leave that on the screen for you to enjoy and say, well done, John. And I shall feature a few more of your comments as we leave today. You take care. Have a great day and bye for now.
Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show at GMP. Hey, Gumper.